Playing Infernax requires a certain mindset when taking on its retro difficulty. For some, this is all too familiar as it lines up with games that they've experienced growing up. In contrast, others will likely have trouble navigating the almost punishingly restrictive movement and persistent enemy design. Regardless, for some reason I found enjoyment in the ever-expanding list of skills, choice system, and pixelated gore. Sure, it might not be for everyone, but I'm glad Infernax found a following. Now, it's time to return to the adventure, but this time with a few different systems. Infernax Do or Die is a significant update that adds another character for local co-op or the option to switch during single player. This new mode delivers a unique adventure whether you're playing again or for the first time. Before we get into the review, we'd like to thank our Patreon supporters for making this possible. Please take a second to check out patreon.com/noisypixel to support independent game journalism. Infernax Do or Die allows players to play with a local partner or single player, where they can switch between characters with the press of a button. The game's story begins as it normally would, but alongside Alcedor is a new hero named Serval. After the intro, the environments are pretty much the same as the base game, but the enemies have definitely received some rebalancing. I would say that introducing Serval has increased the difficulty a bit, but luckily, his loadout provides a new way for players to approach that challenge. Unlike Alcedor's sword, Serval wields an axe that can be lobbed in the air. These can be controlled to a degree whether you are moving, crouching, or jumping, but precision takes some practice. It ultimately allows you to remove enemies from across pits or higher ledges, creating a false sense of safety. I say this due to the enemy design and how they force the player to dodge or react to their various movesets and speeds. Serval doesn't really play nice with enemies that rush in close as they pass under the arc of the blade. Luckily, he gains access to new equipment that allows for different approaches to combat. Given that Serval doesn't have access to spells, his equipment provides the necessary tools to help out Alcedor. For starters, the crossbow allows for direct attacks, but needs to be reloaded, and the Pavice provided an additional layer of defense for players to combat the greater enemy difficulty. Serval also brings additional benefits that aid in buffs and healing, which can all be upgraded as you progress. When the adventure began, I was curious to know if I could just get through the game as I typically have, but Serval's skills and equipment make the encounters especially fun. However, remembering to use them during a tense fight did take some time. Now, we were told that this might be a spoiler, so you could totally skip to the score from here if you want to, but Infernax Do or Die expands on the morality system, with the evil Serval being an absolute beast. Throughout gameplay, you'll make choices that could eventually lead to additional perks. In the case of evil Serval, you'll acquire a Void Shield, which pretty much just blasts through anything in its way, along with poison daggers that deal extended damage to enemies. I wouldn't want to spoil all the cool skills that you can unlock, but the entire mode is enjoyable as you juggle how to utilize each character in combat properly. This is needed to handle the added layer of difficulty brought on by the enemies, but I will say that Evil Serval is way more fun to play than the Good Path. I should add that local co-op is significantly more fun, given that two players can combine their skills during combat and work together across each screen. However, the drawback is that platforming sections can be annoying if you have to wait for your partner to make specific cycles. The single player option gets the job done, as switching characters is seamless, but it's clear that this was made for two people. Aside from this, you'll be experiencing a very similar story to the base game. The graphics are just as gory and the music is just as good. Further, just a little hint, you can unlock a Contra-like mode by inputting the Konami code, which is just an icing on the cake for this free update. Infernax Do or Die only adds to the thrilling experience the base game offers. The inclusion of Serval adds a new layer of challenge to the adventure, but his skills and abilities are enough to make your way through. The local co-op option is the best way to experience this update, with new ways to manage enemies, but you're sure to have a frustratingly enjoyable time no matter how you play. Noisy Pixel is giving Infernax Do or Die a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching. This video is brought to you by our supporters on Patreon. Noisy Pixel is run by a group of gamers providing independent gaming coverage through news, reviews, previews, and more. Check out our Patreon to help support our continued growth and subscribe to keep up with all our future content.
Voice Pixel.